This episode of Kaiju number 8 legitimately. Okay, everything up to the transformation was crazy good, but legitimately that transformation caught me by surprise. Eventually, the cat had to be out of the bag. It's true. But up until, because when the captains come together, you're thinking, okay, because in most anime's cases, if you're given a backstory, especially for the vice captain, who basically was told since a young age, you're great with blades, but that ain't gonna cut it in the defense force, you need to be good with guns. And then you get recruited, and you're building in, like, if you have Kafka save him, it doesn't let it feel like, okay, everyone's still right, he couldn't do it himself. But by having that team effort of the captain saying, I'm not good with blades, you are, so you're good at the smaller kaiju, I get the big ones, we're a team, everything works out. They seemingly defeat number 10, only for a nuke to be above the sky, and Kafka has no other choice but to destroy it. And what does he do? He shoots that bitch to the moon. The emotion of him knowing it's a suicide mission, not because he'll die from the explosion, but because everyone will now know. Most of us, I think, assumed, at least based on the conversations and comments I've seen, that Kafka being exposed to the vice captain, his childhood friend, a couple others, is to be expected. But you didn't expect the whole damn defense force in one go, because once that happens, he's either going to get executed or it's going to be a heated trial. And to see what he was willing to sacrifice, while yes, it's not the worst case it could have been, I think had he transformed and not just saved everyone from a nuke, he probably would have been killed on the spot. But the fact that he's being arrested and probably held till trial is probably the best thing he could ask for here. But that was legitimately mind-blowing, because it doesn't make you think the transformation exposing was going to happen at all. The whole thing was, is our vice captain going to die? And if so, is Kafka going to be the one to save him, or will it be the captain? And Jesus, man, I understand why people were hyping up this episode. Full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my mind break in real time, it's going to be over there exclusively. Even before the transformation, man, I was ready to say, damn, that's a 10 out of 10 episode. The entire fight, the entire emotion, the thing I constantly parrot on this channel is that if you don't care about the character in question, you don't care about the action, because then it's just a bunch of flashy bullshit. You need to care about their actual lives, and I already cared about the vice captain, but the fact that Hoshina, we get more of that backstory, it's understandable. Why would someone with blades be fit to be someone on a defense force that you're probably going to want to shoot? The idea that he doesn't have an aptitude for guns, but he is for blades. And we do see it, like once that thing transformed into his big Godzilla form, the blades weren't really cutting it. Luckily, it's not a solo effort, it's a team effort, so as we see with certain combinations, like him doing the initial slash, a girl coming in with the giant great axe, it definitely was working out, but I like the idea of someone who's in such a position of power saying, listen, I'm not good with blades, you are. You take care of because here's the thing, even though it's not maybe to the same degree at times as maybe Godzilla, some of these small bastards can pack a mean punch, and absolutely, we can see they do. So the idea of that combo, they really do complement each other, but yeah, there was a couple of sweaty moments where it was not looking good for him. When he loses his combat suit's ability and he's basically just left with whatever he's got in his own fuel tank, and he was struggling to get up against that wall, like there was some heated moments. And while I still was rooting and thinking he was gonna make it, it was more spicy than I was initially walking into this episode thinking. I was thinking there was like a 99% chance he makes it. I'm not going to be completely unreasonable. I was like, there's a shot he might not make it, but he's going to make it. Like, that's my gut impression. The longer the fight went on, however, the more I was like, oh shit, we're at like a 60-40 split right now. They could easily kill this man, and it just was not looking good. And to see her come in with her bazooka, I mean, I don't even know, like, is that even the same weapon, or does she just got a bunch of artillery? Because at first it was a sniper rifle, now it looks like a Gatling gun with a tank barrel on it. It's cool no matter what, but like, the idea that she starts blasting these fools, all that is just so memorable, so well animated. At one point, he stabs his blades, like, I think it's on either the thigh or the arm, and does a loop-de-looped. He's literally Levi, and acts like Levi, but he doesn't need maneuver gear. It's magnificent, but it's the idea of what Kafka did, because when Kafka's initially running, he's starting to transform, and he stops the transformation once the captain's there. And I'm thinking in this moment, prior to her jumping in, that Kafka would save the day and, you know, the vice captain would realize who Kafka is. And one other person might now know. And he'd keep it a secret for a bit. I'm thinking that's the formula. And instead, he didn't have to transform. So it lets your guard drop, because then you're like, okay, they got it. And even if he does need to transform, it will be because of another kaiju popping up or something like that. And instead, what happens? He fully exposes himself, completely selfless, knowing damn well he'll probably get killed for doing this, because even if you save them at face value, who in their logical right mind is going to be like, oh, yeah, let's trust someone right away because they did something that seemingly was nice, or have they been infiltrating us? You know, it's like, no, he's a kaiju, like, that's what it looks like. The only reason the trigger wasn't pulled is probably because of that childhood connection, because if we looked at the vice captain's face, I think he was ready to slit his throat right then and there. She, however, just drew a gun. I think without that childhood friend dynamic, he would have been dead on the spot there, 100%. And I think it would have worked because part of his armor was gone, so she could have shot him in the eye and it probably would have been Rip Bozo, game over. But what a freaking fantastic plot twist, because legitimately that transformation and the expose, never saw that coming. At all. And if anything, it would have been earlier in the episode, so it really does pull the rug from under your feet and feel like you just got hit by a truck-kun trying to isekai you. To be honest, like, I don't know what people don't like about this show, why some people who read the manga say it fell off, but I've had as many people tell me that it falls off as that have told me that I don't get what they're talking about. I read the manga and loved it all the way up to the recent chapter. And I think I'm going to fit into that category, especially if we get a seasons 2 and 3, because I love the characterization. I love the dynamic of the Defense Force. And yeah, I like these big epic kaiju fights for sure. It's wonderfully produced and the OST is fire. But the emotion is why I care. Without the emotion, I'm just raving about some big monkey brain battles. And don't get it twisted, I like me some big monkey brain battles. Half of the Godzilla movies I've seen are just big monkey battles. Now, granted, Godzilla Minus One is a bit different. That thing's an emotional masterpiece, but you get my point. But, like, legitimately, I think this show's well written. I think it's well produced. I think it's well thought out. And I love what I'm seeing. What did everyone think of this episode, though? Please tell me I'm not alone in being mind blown by this reveal, but let me know down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Jesse Wright, Peacock, Simulcrum, Joe Gaming Axe, Dominic Hamby, Conrad Sosin, Sovereign, Antonio Rose, Tobias Reinhold, Jonas Welbling, FlavorDorks414, and we also have Drift. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.